Welcome to the Bucher and Friends podcast, co-starring 10-year NFL veteran and Super Bowl champion, Will Blackman.
Manning from the end zone. He throws, and a deflect away, and it is picked off by Will Blackman, the former Giant.
Tim Dwight watches it hit, bounces, picks it up at the 10, slips a defender, fumbles the football, it's up for grabs. It's covered in the end zone by Will Blackman for a Green Bay touchdown.
And now, here is your host,
Let's send it over to Ric Bucher.
Ric Bucher.
Welcome to another episode of Bucher and Blackman, subsidiary of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast Network. I'm Ric Bucher. He's NFL vet and Super Bowl champ Will Blackman. You can catch him on NFL Network and on Twitter at Will Blackman. You can read my stuff on Bleacher Report and on Twitter at Ric Bucher. And you can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Bucher Friends. You can also now follow Tom Brady on Twitter. Haven't checked how many followers he has at this point, but I'm sure
he's up to about 207,000.
Yeah. I imagine that it will grow exponentially. However, he came out of the gate by faux announcing his retirement because this is April Fool's Day. And I have to think, Will, that he picked April Fool's Day to join Twitter. I'm not even sure if he's necessarily going to stay on Twitter. This might just
right,
be one big April Fool's joke, right?
It might be a one-day thing.
Exactly.
That's what I thought initially. He's going to get on and then deactivate it.
Now, he's very active on Instagram. So it's not as if
I heard he's active on Instagram and Facebook. I heard he's pretty busy on those two.
So I don't know what to make of this. What? First of all, does this add or detract from the Tom Brady as a guy? Forget the football player, just the guy.
No, it does. It doesn't. I guess it attracts because
it adds.
Yeah, it adds.
Okay,
it adds because he's very light and fun. He's not worried about anything, and it's cool. It's cool to see a player of his caliber with personality. I feel like there's a lot of real elite or Hall of Famers or guys who were unreal. They just didn't have the personality or have as much fun as he's been having.
Is it cool or is it corny?
Which part?
His tweet
him
about
joining Twitter is cool, but him saying I'm retiring in my spare time, I'll be tweeting. That was corny because those who truly thought that this was he was gonna retire like this, they're out of their mind. That was totally corny. And then his follow-up tweet was that a bad joke? Hell yeah, it was a bad joke, Tom.
Yeah.
A bad joke as in it wasn't funny and no one believed it.
It must be difficult when you are in the spotlight the way Tom Brady is or LeBron James is, and everything that you do is parsed. Because I feel like both of those guys have their moments where they do something where you think they're doing something really cool, and then there are times where I think, anyway, that that's really beneath you. You should be better than that because of everything else that they do, right? And this is kind of one of those where maybe you should have thought twice about it. Not an egregious thing, not a major thing, but it's kind of cornball.
It is super corny. It is beyond belief corny.
Yeah.
But I still like Tom. I think he's awesome.
Okay. Speaking of LeBron James, we mentioned it in the last podcast that he's being shut down for the rest of the season. And my first issue with this, Will, is that there was a big deal made about Anthony Davis not playing. The league has rules in place where if you're going to rest players, you have to rest them on the road. And this just flies in the face of all of that, does it not? I mean, I don't understand why this is announced, and I haven't heard anything from the NBA as far as...
What do you mean? He's resting his groin injury. That's what's going on.
I get that.
That's why he's not playing. He's resting his groin injury. Right?
All right, hold on. So he played all this time, and now we've decided you need to rest the groin.
Yeah, you got to rest the groin for next season, man.
So
why aren't you buying it?
You're being totally facetious right now. You're not buying it.
Listen, he's like, I'm going to give it a go. And then once we're out the playoffs, then you know what? No sense in making this groin injury worse.
No longer in the playoffs or no longer chasing Michael Jordan on the all-time scoring list.
He has time for that.
No, he's already done it. He passed Michael on that list. I think it was Michael.
Yeah, it was Michael.
And so he's got, what, Carl and Kareem, I believe.
Carl and Kareem, yeah.
In front of him.
Exactly. He passed Michael, so he got to chill.
Right. And now we can take care of the groin. We can take care of everything else. I'll put this question to you. When you look at the Lakers season, and everybody has a part when you have a disappointing season, but who's the first person you think of as being responsible or having had the biggest part in this season being as disappointing as it's been?
I look at Magic Johnson right off the bat. And the reason is because he facilitated this whole thing to get LeBron here. And I think when you had an offseason like this, is basically he rolled the dice. He was like, I have a plan in place. We're going to get LeBron. We're going to get Anthony Davis. And that's what we're going to do. There was nothing else in what they were trying to do that thought outside of that. It was LeBron, Anthony Davis. That was his 2018-19 season plan. And he only executed half of it. Therefore, I put it on him. And I'm sure LeBron came knowing that that was a possibility that he could come this year as well too. So I don't put so much on LeBron. I put it more on the management, because at the end of the day, they still have to build a team and do things around there. And I will say in LeBron's defense, he is around a bunch of guys who just don't know what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, but they did for a while. I mean, at one point, and it was early, but they were 20-14. They were a solid playoff team. Again, that's only 34 games into the season.
Right,
so,
super early.
Yes. And then LeBron got hurt and things completely fell apart. And then we had the trade talk about basically trading everybody and anybody to get Anthony Davis. And that certainly didn't help. I mean, it's not a tangible thing to be able to say that, but psychologically, the assumption is that this team kind of went into a shell once those rumors went out there. So I am slow into immediately, and maybe because this always happens. When LeBron's teams underachieve, it's never on him. It's never on him. And I feel as if there have been times where, certainly when you're the best player on the same, I said the same thing about Anthony Davis with the Pelicans. They're not making the playoffs. Anthony Davis saying, there's not enough here, or this team's not good enough, or I want to move. Okay, you can desire, you can ask for a trade, but know that this team's failure rests a lot on your plate as the best player on this team. You have to take some accountability for that. And this is where LeBron, I never heard him do that this year. He talked about these guys, hey, if you're not all about this, then this isn't the
You're saying he never took accountability. He never took accountability. He
never took his part, and he certainly had a part.
He had a major part. That's why I'm not saying he doesn't get any. I'm saying management, Luke Walton, and then LeBron, in that order.
I probably go. I can't argue with the management thing, but because they were 20-14, and I suppose I could blame LeBron's groin as much as anything. Because I don't know if he doesn't get hurt, I don't know that they fall off. But his leadership or lack thereof was a huge part of this, and I feel as if there was enough. And I said that from the beginning of the year. I felt like there was enough offensive talent, especially with Rajon Rondo as a playmaker, that if LeBron really wanted to get this team to assure that this team was going to be in the playoffs, LeBron would have dedicated all of his energy to the defensive end of the floor, because that's where they needed it most, and that's what would have set the strongest example for all these young guys.
That's what defense always does. Exactly.
And so
that's all effort, man. Defense is effort.
It's what Kobe did with the national team when he was with Carmelo and LeBron, and everybody was like, "Well, how's Kobe and LeBron and Carmelo and all these guys going to share one ball? How are they going to be able to do that?
Strap up.
And Kobe went, you know what? Don't worry about me. I'm going to set the tone at the other end. And he did from day one. And as a result, they went and won gold. And there wasn't any controversy. Now, did I expect LeBron to do that? No, I didn't. Especially with like the hunt for Michael Jordan, Jordan's numbers, and or passing Michael Jordan rather. And I just know how conscious he is of his statistics. I mean, this is a guy who looks at the box score at halftime to see kind of where he stands. So I knew it wasn't going to happen, but in a perfect world, that's ultimately what should have happened. So I'm going to put LeBron at the head of my list when it comes to that.
That's valid.
Speaking of great players, we'll go to another one. Odell Beckham Jr. was introduced on Monday to the Cleveland press, and I don't know if we have the sound for it, so I'm just going to read his quotes. He says, "As it all settled in, I'm very excited about this, and I think it's going to be one of the best things that ever happened to me in my life." He later said the moment is going to be more iconic than we all realize right now. We'll look back in 10 years and be like, man, I remember. What's today? April 1st, 2019? The start of something great, you know? And I'm just happy to be a part of that. Why can't we just let things happen? Like, why do we have to immediately go 10 years from now and say this is going to be an iconic event in the history of the Cleveland Browns?
Because he's dramatic, man. OBJ is dramatic.
You can be dramatic and you don't. I don't think it's just OBJ. I think we have become a world of superlatives. In order to catch anybody's attention, it has to be the best or the worst. It has to be extraordinary, and it has to be extraordinary right now. We can't wait for things to develop. We have to already. It's the LeBron. Not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8. I mean, win one first. When he was introduced to the Miami Heat.
Right.
Like, it always has to be we're already down the road and we're already winning championships.
Right. There are some things that can be left unsaid because then it just sounds, again, we're going to use the word. Today's word is corny. You hear corny, have a drink. So that was insanely corny when LeBron did that. There are some moments where LeBron looks unsure that he wants to say something, and he's like, I'm just gonna say it,
right,
and I'm just gonna deal with the repercussions. Just like when he was at the barber shop, he showed the shop, and he was like, yeah, that, you know, after that one, I'm the best player in the world there ever was. I'm the greatest.
Right.
I was like, he didn't want to say that.
Right. You could see,
it's like OBJ was sitting there. He didn't want to say that, man.
It just and now the bar is set so high that whatever the Browns do this year, we're going to be measuring it against iconic. We're going to be measuring it against the idea that 10 years from now, this is going to be the most profound event in Cleveland Browns history. And at least I remind you, it's
in Cleveland Browns history, it probably is the most profound event.
But it's the Cleveland Browns. They don't have iconic moments.
That's my whole point.
I know. So why? What are you predicting here? It's like, no.
By the way, there's nothing more iconic than his catch. So he can forget everything else he's going to say. His catch is probably the greatest catch I've ever seen in the history of the game. So he can stop right there about more iconic than whatever he has done.
Yeah. Look, I like OBJ. I love the prospect of the Browns mattering, and you know that they matter, but
they can handle it though. They have the guys who can handle it. That's why I'm not worried about that. It is because it's corny, yes, but have a drink. But I got my water right here.
There you go.
But they can handle it. They have the personalities. They have the guys who, like I said, everyone on that team has a chip on the shoulder and is pissed off. So guess what? OBJ gets traded from New York. He was king of New York. He got traded. What, you trade me? OBJ?
Yeah. And you trade me to Cleveland.
You know what though? If the fact that Jarvis is there, that's all good. The one thing about Odell is you can trade him to Alaska. Odell will bring the party. Okay? He is the party. So it doesn't matter where he goes. He's the life. He's going to bring it up.
One of the other items regarding wide receivers, former Packers wide receiver Randall Cobb has signed with the Cowboys, and you brought this to my attention. Fans are seeing this as a major upgrade from former wide receiver Cole Beasley, who signed a 4-year, $29 million deal with the Bills. Before we get to what this does for the Cowboys, are you on board with the idea that Randall Cobb is this major upgrade from Cole Beasley?
I will say, yes, he is a major upgrade in terms of his ability. Now, obviously, his health is concerned. I think he's missed. He's only played, 2 full seasons in his 8 years, which is why they only paid 1 year, $5 million for him. They didn't give him a huge contract. But he's like a running back playing receiver. He's faster than Cole. I would say Cole probably has him in the route game. But run after catch, I mean, he's explosive and as anyone. At one point he was one of the most dangerous return men in the NFL. He has that element as well too, which how I think Tavon Austin is still gonna do that. But yeah, I think so. And I'm going based off of guarding them. I covered both of them.
Right.
And I think I probably had more issues covering Randall Cobb than I did with Cole Beasley.
I wonder how much of the opinion on Cole Beasley was the fact that before they got Amari Cooper there, he was their best receiver. And
he was the only receiver.
Only receiver.
They had Michael Gallup. I mean, he's actually a really good rising young star. He's going to be opposite Amari Cooper. They actually have a really nice receiving core coming up this year.
But that said, I feel as if he was put in a difficult situation because he can't carry the weight of being the only receiver or the only quality receiver. And as a result, opportunities weren't quite the same as if you've got, and I don't know what his numbers were since Amari came on board, but I feel as if they're doing a little disservice to Cole Beasley. I thought he was tough. I thought he was available. As you said, the way he runs routes, considering the quarterback that he was working with, a very young quarterback, and I can't help but feel with like Randall Cobb that isn't this Jordy Nelson 2.0 in terms of Packers let Jordy Nelson go. He signs with the Raiders, and everybody was like, whoa, the Raiders got Jordy Nelson, but there was a reason why the Packers let him go. I just wonder, is there a reason why the Packers are letting Randall Cobb go?
Well, I think one that, once again, sometimes I guess his time was up, his health. The reason why I didn't last long with the Packers, I lasted only 4 years, and they didn't re-sign me, was my health. I did some good things there. They kept holding on to me because they love the potential. But ultimately, I just couldn't stay healthy. So they're like, man, that was out. I remember going up seeing Ted Thompson, and he couldn't even speak because it was a difficult cut for him. And I'm sure when they let Jordy go, that was difficult. And same thing at Randall Cobb. He's been there for 8 years, has done some great things for that organization. And that was a tough one. It's hard to pay a guy when you're not healthy.
Right.
And however, with Dak, I think Dak, after he played that last regular season game, I believe Dak Prescott found his groove as a quarterback. And so obviously, yeah, you get Amari Cooper. Yeah, I mean, that's like ultimate confidence. And then you get your tight end back and Jason Witten, the security blanket. You know he's going to be there. And then rising star Michael Gallup. And obviously, one of the top two, if not best running back, and Zeke Elliott is going to obviously lead the way. And then you get Randall Cobb, where it's not going to be on him. And he just has to make sure he's healthy. And a healthy Randall Cobb, I'll take a healthy Randall Cobb over a healthy Cole Beasley any day of the week.
Fair enough. This is going to be an interesting season for Dak Prescott. No excuses. No excuses now.
Nah, you got to go get that check, man. That's it.
Yeah. And I think he's an okay quarterback, a good quarterback. I think he's capable of that. I don't see greatness in him. I don't see him as the next Russell Wilson, for example.
You see him like, I see him like a Steve McNair. Capable. Very, very capable.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, that's fair. I really hadn't thought of who I would compare him to, because there's the physical comparison and then there's the tools, and I think for him, he has to find the ideal way to be a dual threat to make the most out of who he is. He's not going to beat you just on his arm. And now that he's got this array of weapons around him with Witten and with Cobb and with Amari Cooper and obviously with Zeke, if there's going to be a weak link here, assuming Cobb's healthy, right, Dak Prescott is the one who's got to raise his game to the level of the talent that he has around him.
No, I agree. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to Dak. Because it's funny when Cole Beasley was there, he was complaining like, "Yo, we're getting open." he said, "We're getting open."
Yeah.
The ball's just not getting there.
Yeah.
So yeah, is Cobb is a major upgrade? Sure, he's an upgrade. But the ball still got to get there. So, I agree with you. It's going to come down to Dak. And definitely, he needs to utilize his legs more. He is very athletic. He's actually a big boy. That's a big quarterback. And, he's solid. He can easily scramble for 5-6 yards when he needs to. Throw on the run, move around the pocket, So,
this is quite a battle in the NFC East. The Eagles picking up Jordan Howard.
And Deshaun Jackson. Carson Wentz,
presumably back and healthy. Who do you like? Who's your favorite right now?
Who's my way too early favorite?
Yes, you're way too, as you like to say, yes, you're way too early.
I mean, right now, I got to go with Dallas.
Do you really?
I got to say the Cowboys, because first of all, I don't know what's going on in DC. Yes, they have Case Keenum. Yes. They signed AP back. They're going to get Darius Guys back. They signed Landon Collins. But it's like they have the talent there. Oh, they got Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie too. So they have the talent. It's just a matter of, can these guys, especially on the offensive line, Trent Williams just had surgery on his scapula, I believe it was. Can these guys stay healthy? Can they stay healthy? That's what it comes down to for Washington. New York, don't know. Philly, don't know.
Yeah. I would think that Philly would rebound from last year. That last year they had a bit of a Super Bowl hangover. And still finished 9-7, finished strong. But with the pieces that they've added, and they finished second in the division. The Cowboys ended up winning the division. I don't know. I feel
Talk about pressure for Carson Wentz, though.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
You better get it done. Yeah. Okay?
No doubt.
Get nothing less than a playoff. Anything
Agreed.
short of playoff, then we got issues.
Agreed. Which will be interesting if Washington is good, the challenge that might create in the division for the Eagles. They can't mess around. By the way, just you mentioned all the physical issues that you had in Green Bay. And this sounds crazy because you play in a lot of domes. You don't necessarily practice outside. There's a lot of variables. But do you think the climate in where you play, how much of an impact does that have on the health of an NFL player?
I never really thought of the issue with the climate. I would say, I guess in Jacksonville, it's warmer than it was in Green Bay. And in Jacksonville, I guess my muscles, my body got warmer quicker, Mm-hmm. And we were able to be outside more often. We never practiced on turf because we didn't have to. We had grass,
right,
and we were always outdoors.
Right.
So that was a huge plus.
I would think.
To play on grass. Now, I would say it's more so surface than it is climate. Even though they have the field turf. Here's what's interesting, is that these teams, these owners rather, they invest in this field turf. Yeah, it looks pretty. It's very, very low maintenance.
This is with the rubber black balls.
Yeah, the rubber pellets from sneakers and tires.
Yep.
However, it doesn't give. Now, I've been unfortunate. My freshman year of college, I played on AstroTurf, cement carpet.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've learned that field turf does the same thing to your body. It tears it up. It's funny it's not funny, but it's interesting when Joe Flacco tore his ACL. This is right when the Ravens put in field turf. Joe Flacco tore his ACL. Next season, grass. They went right back to grass.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you can pay for this and you can save money by having field turf. It looks pretty, but you're losing your investments and your players.
Yeah, it is softer to land on, the field turf. It doesn't, when you cut, it's still, there's no give to it.
None.
Yeah.
You feel like absolute trash playing. That's why it's funny when I went to Canada, man. We practice every day on that turf. Every day. Every day. And there were times where I was like, dude, I need a break today. Okay.
Well, when I played soccer on it, I would only wear shoes with the nubs. I never wore full-on cleats.
Right. Turf trainers, whatever they are.
Yeah, yeah. Because that was anything else. I felt like every foot plant, I was stuck.
Yeah, that's where the linemen did. Linemen wore the little rubber. Now I couldn't because I needed all the traction to chase people down. But yeah, if I played quarterback, I would definitely wear the little rubber nubs on my shoes.
Yeah,
not cleats.
All right, last item I want to get to. The Raiders have a personal workout with Kyler Murray. Now,
Mayock and Gruden had a personal private workout with this kid. This
is what's so fascinating to me, because I have heard from multitude of sources that, first of all, back up. Last season, there were questions raised about the relationship between John Gruden and Derek Carr. Were they on the same page? And I think a lot of it was just the interaction on the sideline and whatnot. And I don't know whether it's you or other people have told me, no, they have a great relationship.
That's what I heard. I heard from Donald Penn.
Yeah.
Donald Penn was their former lineman who got released this year. He was there, and he was like, it's funny how everyone looks at it like this, but no, they have a really good relationship. They really do. And so, he convinced us.
All right, so they have a really good relationship, but you're looking at Kyler Murray. Help me understand. And look, everybody does their due diligence. I get all that.
That's what it is. That's exactly what I was going to say. They're doing their due diligence. You have to look at maybe they just want to see him throw because they really enjoy this kid, I mean, for crying out loud, Belichick flew in Johnny Manziel to New England for a pre-draft visit. Flew in Johnny. I don't think he was ever going to draft him.
Okay, but
I think he just wanted to see him and know him.
Okay, so I guess I get that. But if you look at Johnny Manziel, you're looking at Johnny Manziel and you're saying, let's go get this guy to groom him, or he's the backup. I mean,
I don't think they were.
It's what?
I don't think they were. I think they truly. I feel like the Patriots bring in guys for pre-draft visits just to truly maybe see their weaknesses.
Oh, to see them to have a book on them, so when they play for somebody else, they know them better.
Absolutely.
I get that. Okay, but the Raiders are in the AFC. If the Cardinals, we don't know what they're going to do. But wouldn't you do that if you thought that you were going to face Kyler Murray?
What if something crazy happened, like what if Miami wanted Derek Carr?
Okay.
I'm just saying. What if somebody wanted... Listen, everybody is available. What if somebody wanted your quarterback? Then you better be ready.
All right, so I get that, but let's back up a second. Is there anybody that you look at and say, oh, I can see where they'd want Derek Carr? I don't know that anybody wants Derek Carr right now. I'm not saying he can't get the job done, but for what he's getting paid and what his production is, the jury for me is very much out on Derek Carr. I don't know how good he is. I know he's not as good as his contract right now. I can say that with assurance. Can he grow? Can he evolve? Okay, I'll leave that open. He's had some injuries and they've gone through some changes, and so I leave that door open. But I'm going to go back to the relationship and the questions about the relationship. This just seems an odd thing. It's one thing for Kingsbury to do it when he doesn't have a relationship with Josh Rosen. You're not breaking any trust there by expressing interest in Kyler Murray.
Front offices.
Yes, but okay, but you got a new guy in who
wants his guy.
Yes, who's already expressed prior to getting the job, had already expressed his infatuation and admiration for Kyler Murray.
I've been there. Mark McCarthy came in. Favre was not his guy.
Yeah. But this is different because, I mean, it flies in the face of, I mean, technically Derek Carr wasn't John Gruden's guy. And then we're watching everything evolve last year and we're like, oh, we have evidence. He's clearly not his guy. And then, as you said, Donald Penn, everything's supposed to be cool. I mean, I guess this is a referendum on Donald Penn. Like, is he giving us the real?
I gotta get him on here.
Yes.
I need to hear him.
Yes. We need to do that. That would be actually fascinating. I'd like to hear about Donald, just his view on all the changes that Gruden has made with the Raiders. And if he feels honestly that they're moving in the right direction. And I mean, there's a ton of things to ask him. How challenging is it to have one foot in Vegas and still playing in Oakland? Is he disappointed that he's not going to get an opportunity to make that move to Vegas? What's he expecting that situation is going to be like playing in Vegas? There's a lot Donald Penn could tell us that would be really interesting.
Right.
We should make that happen.
Yeah, I'm going to hit him up.
Okay. All right. That does it for this episode of Bucher and Blackman, subsidiary of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast Network. Again, if you enjoy the show or you don't, we ask you to drop us a rating. All you have to do is hit the stars, 1 through 5. And you can do that on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And then if you screenshot that review and tweet it to us at Bucher Friends, you'll be entered for a chance to win some swag from Ryan, Will, or myself. In the next podcast, I will be joined by the Detroit Pistons center, Andre Drummond, who has one of the worst nicknames ever. And one of the things we're going to have to do is we're going to have to do something in regard to the listeners of Bucher and Friends and find a better nickname for Andre Drummond. But he is a huge proponent of the Special Olympics. He set a record in terms of 4 consecutive years, 1,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, 100 steals, 100 blocks. It's never been done before. Talk to him about that, about the Special Olympics, and yes, about the nickname. All of that in the next podcast. As always, thanks for listening.